Am I the asshole for walking out of a restaurant twice after my wife made me the third wheel again? I, 30 male, my wife, 29F, planned a date night tonight as our kids were at my IL's. We hadn't decided where to go, and while driving my wife asked me where to go. I told her that I don't care as long as it's somewhere that her coworkers don't work, because my wife works in the restaurant industry and knows a lot of people that work at the places near us. This turns into the majority of our dates being her talking with them instead of me. So I tell my wife, as long as I'm not made into a third wheel this time, I'll be happy. She picks a Tex-Mex place and says, I don't know anyone that works there. As soon as we walk into the restaurant, someone shouts my wife's name and a woman comes over us and tells us she'll take us. Turns out this woman is an ex-coworker. We sit at our table and my wife and her are already talking and gossiping about the things going on at their previous jobs. I wasn't mad at this point because I know that they want to catch up. After several minutes of this, she left to get our drinks and my wife apologizes and says that she had no idea she worked there. A few minutes later she comes back with our drinks and her boyfriend, who is also an ex-coworker of my wife's, and they proceed to talk and ignore me again. Then after taking our food orders she stays at our table and they talk for another 5-7 minutes instead of putting our order in. I try to join in and am ignored again. When she goes to put the order in, I tell my wife, I asked for you not to do this one thing tonight. She proceeds to tell me that she didn't want to be rude and it's just small talk. I tell her that I tried to join in and they ignored me. She tells me that they didn't ignore me, they just didn't hear me. I was speaking as loud as they were. She then asks me, what do you want me to do, tell her to fuck off? I said, no, politely tell her that you are on a date with your husband and we'd like to spend some time together. She tells me that that is rude and is basically the same as telling her to fuck off. She tells me to stop being in a bad mood because we're alone now and that I am the only one ruining the night. I said, fine, then I'll remove myself, and got up and walked out of the restaurant. I stood outside several minutes until she called and begged me to come inside. There were a few issues with my meal which turned into another argument with her saying nothing can be right because I'm in a bad mood because she spoke to someone. I told her that I refuse to let her make me the asshole in this situation. She says that I'm being a controlling and this is what normal people do and that I'm being psychotic. I ask her for the keys so I can go out to the car and cool off. She tells me no. So I tell her I'm going to walk home and get up to leave. She calls me 20 minutes later, asks where I am and comes to pick me up. This turned into another giant fight and her saying she's going to stay the night at her parents' and that this is why her friends think I'm an asshole. So AITA. Edit. I forgot to mention that our server's boyfriend that also works at the restaurant and knows my wife also approached the table and spoke to my wife. However, that was a 2-minute conversation, then he left and didn't bother us again. Not the asshole. Your wife doesn't want to be rude, except to you? She should try, it's been ages. Where, you two, having a date night tonight, but we, wife and friends, should catch up over lunch, coffee, whatever sometime. Not rude unless someone ignores the boundary, which is what your wife did. Not the asshole. You made it clear that this was a sore spot, and your wife chose to be rude to you rather than risk coming across as rude to her friends. She easily could have said, it's so great to see you guys. But this is a rare night without kids for us, so let's catch up later. That would have been considerate of everyone. She prioritized her friends over you. Not the asshole. She is disrespecting your time together and doesn't care that it makes you feel bad. She is putting her ex-coworker's feelings above yours. All she needed to do after the initial hello chat is say, husband and I are having a date night without the kids, so let's catch up another time. Not the asshole. My husband and I rarely get moments together, let alone date nights. I'd be upset if he chose to talk with coworkers or ex-coworkers over spending some quality time together. Before arriving you mentioned how this quality time was really important to you. She could have wrapped up her conversation during the first hello. We make time for people who are important. She didn't want to be rude to someone who she used to work with but would rather be rude to the person she shares her life with. Just my thoughts. Not the asshole your wife is, and a big one too. She could just tell her colleagues that they will catch up another time and that she is on a date right now. That is not rude at all. Not doing it is very rude. Next date night do something else. Movies, skating, picnic, whatever, but no restaurants. Info. What are the other instances? I mean, if her friends think you are an a-hole, there are two possibilities. 1. They are her restaurant friends and past occurrences of you being third-wheeled and being mopey might have soured them to you, or 2. You are an asshole who is twisting this story and her friends genuinely don't like you, so they don't engage with you. So what are the past occurrences and what is your relationship with her friends and family? I have a feeling there is more to this story that you're leaving out. Am I the asshole for asking my husband not to work out while we were on vacation with my family? So, we went on a 2-week vacation with my extended family to Dubai. The majority of my aunts, uncles, cousins came from my mum's side. I only agreed to go because my parents' and sister's family were all going to be there and we hadn't seen each other in a long time. My husband is the type of person who wakes up ridiculously early so he can work out no matter where we are. While we were on vacation, some of my female cousins found out he was going to the gym at 6 a.m. and they started waking up early and going there just to watch him work out. I only found out because my brother-in-law told my sister, who told me. I wanted to see for myself, so I asked my husband if I could work out with him the next day, and it turned out to be true. My husband tends to be in his own world when he exercises, and so he never noticed. I pointed it out to him, but he just made a joke about it. I asked him if he could stop working out for the rest of the vacation as it was making me uncomfortable. He got upset and we had an argument about it, but he did eventually reluctantly agree, but he made it clear he was only doing it for me and that he wasn't happy about it. Am I the asshole? You are the asshole. It's the cousins who are really out of line, but you are also handling this the wrong way. Who TF wakes up that early just to creep on a relative's husband? If the genders were reversed, commenters here would be out for blood. Your husband is allowed to have the expectation of being able to work out without weird-ass thirsty relatives of his wife ogling him. Trying to control his behavior instead of confronting the cousins is an asshole move. It's your side of the family, it's primarily your problem to resolve, even though your husband can obviously stand up for himself. Imagine your husband's male cousins are following you around and his response were to prevent you from leaving the hotel room instead of taking care of the issue on his side of the family. Info. Why didn't you confront your cousins? They're the ones in the wrong here. You are the asshole. 1. Who cares if they watch? 2. If you care, say something to them as it's not your husband's fault. You're punishing the wrong person. You are the asshole. The problem isn't your husband working out, it's your female cousins being creeps. Either bring it up with them or stop being insecure and remember the fact that this man is married to you and not giving these other women the time of day. Whoa, just imagine the story the other way round. A woman whose husband would ask her to not work out because males in his family are leering. The mods would already have closed the thread because shitstorm alert. You are the asshole. You have to confront your family. YTA. It was making me uncomfortable. No, it wasn't. Your creepy ass cousins were making you uncomfortable. Wow, are you ever? You are the asshole. You put your insecurities on him. What is wrong with you? He works out regularly. And you made him stop because girls were looking at him? What are you going to do when you realize women look at him or notice him at his gym? Or walking on the street? Or eating in a restaurant? Or at his work? Are you going to have him stop workout out, stay home unless you are with him, or wear clothes that prevent others from noticing him? Grow up. You are the asshole. It's not his fault that some of your family was being inappropriate. You should have told them to stop, not him. Am I the asshole for digging breast holes in the sand so I could lay down where my nephew could see them? 34F, and a big-breasted woman. For context, my bra size is 34G, so while I'm nowhere near the biggest out there, I am still pretty big. So my family decided to take a trip to the beach because we haven't since any of the kids have been born. It was me, my husband, our kids ages 5, M, and 7, M, my brother-in-law and Sil and their 2 kids ages 5, F, and 9, M, and my Mill and Phil. We rented an Airbnb and all split the cost. Anyway, on the first day my Mill and Phil decided to stay in the house and the rest of us went out to the beach. After a bit I decided to lay down for while my husband was occupying the kids building a sand castle. I didn't bring a towel with me, so I decided to just lay out on the sand. For those who don't know, if you have large breasts and lay on your stomach it can be quite uncomfortable, so I dug little holes out for my boobs to lay in. Soon after my brother-in-law and Sil asked if we were all ready to go in for lunch, so I got up to help pack our things. My 9-year-old nephew saw my boob holes and asked what they were. I explained, in a kid-friendly manner, and he said, okay, and walked off. After we got back to the house my Sil and Mill cornered me in the kitchen and yelled at me for talking to nephew about my boobs. I asked when I did that, and apparently nephew asked my Sil if the reason she didn't dig holes when she laid down on the sand was because if her breasts were not as big as mine. They are mad and said I should never have dug the holes in the first place and I should have just sucked it up and laid without them. For context, both my Mill and Sil and significantly smaller chested than me. That it was inappropriate. Nephew was exposed to that and he shouldn't even be thinking about boobs at this age, and now he is asking questions they don't want him asking. Like why some women have bigger breasts than others, or what they are for, or is he going to grow them when he grows up, etc. I don't think what I did was inappropriate. I mean, I have 2 boys of my own and I never hide my breasts or bras from them. They think it's just a normal thing grown women have and it's not a big deal. But it's not my kid, so considering every other adult female in the house is mad at me, maybe I am the one in the wrong? Not the asshole. You're allowed to be comfortable on vacation, even if your Mill and Sil seem to be anyways, uptight. Maybe you could have let his mother answer his questions initially, but you did nothing wrong. And assuming you are telling the truth, you handled the questions appropriately anyways. Not the asshole. I'm a big-breasted girl and never thought of digging holes. Good on you for having the forethought and for explaining it all scientifically. Not the asshole. This is wicked smart, lol, I love it. Reminds me of this. Not the asshole. If they want to stigmatize breasts, they are doing a fantastic job. I had to be the one to explain breastfeeding to 2 kids that weren't mine, and boy oh boy were their mothers pissed because I wouldn't hid it as I was in my own house. Not the asshole. You have big boobs and the kid has eyes. They need to get over it. Imagine being afraid of your children discovering what breasts are. Wow. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. I have smallish boobs. I can pretty well guarantee that the other women are jealous and or prudes. I wish ever had a need to dig holes in the sand for my boobs. Tears of joy. Not the asshole. There is nothing wrong in talking about body parts and bodily functions to kids, in an age-appropriate manner. Which it looks like you did. Also, come on, the kid is on a beach, with tons of women bouncing their boobs around. If boobs are inappropriate, maybe they shouldn't go there in the first place. Poor kid, it sounds like you are his only sane relative. Am I the asshole for not involving myself in my ex-husband's child life? My 25F ex-husband, 29M. And I divorced a year ago after I found out that he had an affair, son, C 1M. By that time we already had A 3 male, and B 1M. Since my husband had an affair, he lost any right to alimony or child support from my part due prenup stipulations. He also lost his job at my dad's and the car. When he came back begging me for an opportunity, he disclosed that C's mom passed away during childbirth and we were the only family he had. I was hurt for his betrayal, but yet I still felt love for this man and didn't want to hurt a motherless child, so I told him that I would revoke his mandatory child support payments, because I don't really need them thanks to my dad. So he could focus on doing what was best for C, and that anything he did, monetary, for our kids was welcome but not necessary. The problem was that, a few months after the divorce, he grew comfortable enough to ask me about how to take care of a child, to the point where he would try to leave me with C while I explained. After I realized what was he doing, and when I confronted him, he admitted that he was trying to create a bond between us so his child could have a mom too. I immediately put C in his arms and said that while I was sorry for the loss of his mother, I'm not willing to play mommy of his affair kid and to never bring the subject again. He told me how unfair I was being because now that he's young is the perfect time to make an introduction, and how awful will be for C to see his brothers grow up with me. I felt pressured, so I took our kids and told him to contact me again through a lawyer for any future discussion. When I got home, I told my family what happened, and while almost everyone agreed with me, my mom said that I was a horrible human being because that child had no mother and that she raised me better than this. My dad tried to defend me as well as my sisters, but my mom said that what happened between my ex and I didn't had anything to do with an innocent child, and she hopes I do the right thing, and I love the child. She's also pressuring me to buy things for the kid and make space in my home, such as giving him a bedroom and all, because she won't allow that I take my kids home and he's left there alone. But I said that I don't want to involve myself with him, and now she's not talking to me unless I agree. Not the asshole. Maybe your mom should adopt him. That child is nothing more to you than every other motherless child in the land. Suggest, sincerely, that your ex get busy and find a loving and gentle new wife who wants to be a mother to his child. There are lots of women out there who would be interested. My infertile friend actually married a widower with 3 kids and admitted it was as much to be a mom as to be a wife. Several years in, they are very happy. Not the asshole, not the asshole, not the asshole. I'm horrified at your mom's suggestions. It's an affair child, for crying out loud. How would you mum feel if your dad suddenly came home with an affair child? Not very good, I'd suppose. It'd ruin the family, I presume. Now your kids are still young, but if they were any older and they understood this, they probably won't be very welcoming of this kid too. You are not a saint and you do not owe that child and your ex anything. No, no, no. Even if the child did nothing wrong, why do you have to live with the proof of your ex's infidelity? It'd take a toll on you and affect your emotions. Not the asshole. That kid is your kid's sibling, otherwise he is nothing to you and you do not need to associate with him. It isn't on you to foster a relationship between the siblings, that's on their father. Stand your ground. He cheated, didn't use protection, got the girl pregnant and lied. He has no morals, and no, he wants you to play mum. Is he expecting you to do that to every kid? I mean, karma really got him. No money, no job, no car. He's in this predicament because he couldn't keep it in his pants. You owe him nothing, and you owe the child nothing. Also seems like he only came back because the other woman died. Not the asshole. Not your child. However, you should be prepared to be involved a little bit when that child grows up and his brothers want him to play with them or something. There's no getting around the fact that while he isn't your child, he is your kid's brother. I assume your ex has had a mother, a grandma or two, perhaps an aunt, maybe female siblings or cousins, or women friends in general that he can reach out to. What would his response be if you had the affair and suddenly the father died? I'm guessing he would be acting similar to you right now. Not the asshole. Has your mom considered doing the right thing by creating room in her home for C and bonding with him? Not the asshole. Not the asshole. It's not your child, it's his. He just doesn't want to take responsibility for his actions and be a single parent and wants to pawn it off to you. It's sad that his mother passed away, but that's not your fault, you have your own kids to worry about. Not the asshole. It's insulting and entitled of your ex to expect you to be a mother to his affair child. Also, you should not have let him off the hook for child support for his 2 kids with you. He may be down on his luck, but that was entirely his own doing and doesn't let him off the hook as a father. If your mother is so worried about your ex's affair baby, then she can take him in.